I and Me is a brand new puzzle platformer game for the Nintendo Switch by indie studio Wish Fang. Please note, the game was released on Steam back in May, but this review will be for the Switch version, which as far as I'm aware is identical to the Steam version. In the game, players control two black cats and must traverse a stage in order to place both cats in the goals. The puzzles can get complicated with moving platforms, switches, and various animals that will impact your mobility and position within the level. So, should you include yourself in this I and Me? Let's find out. Between each level, there is a short story, sometimes only a sentence, progressing the overall narrative. Like the name suggests, the story concerns the cat, who finds himself also inhabiting the world. It comes off a little bit too pretentious in its presentation. Perhaps it's the extravagant font that developers use for the text, or the fact that there is no voice acting, but the game has a major pretentious vibe to it. Some levels have collectible parchments which provide extra challenges. They sometimes add a bit to the narrative, but in some cases they simply repeat the intro text, which was a little bit disappointing to say the least. The narrative really isn't that interesting. It mainly deals with depression and loneliness, but it's a theme that isn't really explored in interesting ways. I feel there are so many other games that deal with this theme and that do a much better job that I and Me feels like it was just going through the motions. The narrative exists somewhere between trying too hard and also not doing enough. Either way, it didn't connect with me in any major way and is incredibly forgetful. The core mechanic of the game, controlling the two cats, is present in all the levels, around 90 total. Throughout the game, new twists are introduced. I and Me does a great job of introducing the mechanics through science and natural experimentation. Some of the mechanics are jumping on sheep, avoiding spikes, and carrying lights around. Nothing that completely blew my mind in terms of novel and interesting elements, but most of them are used fairly well. There are some levels that aren't really difficult to figure out, they are just annoying. The last level of the game doesn't feel intelligently designed, it feels cheap. There are some levels in which one cat will mirror the other one without warning. I felt frustrated with these levels because in the normal levels, if the cat has inverse controls, it does a good job signaling it with a slight visual effect. However, for the levels where that's the gimmick, it doesn't have that effect at all. It feels like the design is very inconsistent. If players are ever stuck on a level, they can simply press X to view part of it, or in some cases, the entire solution. It means players won't have to look up on YouTube a guide demonstrating how to solve the level, but having the answer right there kind of cheapens the experience. When I pressed X for the first time, I thought I'd provide a hint, not show the entire answer. Overall, the game has a very nice feel. The graphics are pretty standard, and there's a consistent theme, but it's pretty mediocre. There's one element, the inverse magic wand, that feels completely out of place. There's not a lot of animation within the game, and there's no rumble support, which is incredibly disappointing. The soundtrack isn't memorable, but it's pretty calming and does its job. The music will definitely put you to sleep. There is an unlockable, after players collect all 20 parchments, which I unlocked, but I'm not exactly sure what it is. The unlocked message just disappeared too quickly. I think it might be the extra levels in the worlds. Anyway, I severely dislike the font that is used in the story text, as some letters will look like other letters in English, especially the R and the T. The credits design was cute, but it was also a little bit annoying to get through. Essentially, I and Me is a mediocre or unremarkable game. It doesn't do anything particularly interesting and is easily forgettable. I and Me is only recommended for those who need a puzzle game on the Switch. It's about 1,000 yen or $10 and it has English, Japanese, Chinese, Russian, and Spanish translations within the game. Considering how many other great games are on the Switch, it might be best to leave I and Me alone. I give this game a 2 out of 5. This has been Push Dustin from Source Gaming, and thank you so much for watching this review. If you like what you saw, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel for more news, reviews, and discussions on video games. Please follow us on social media. You can find all the links in the description below.